Hey, everybody, this is Jim from Alabama. Whoo! It's a great day to be alive, I tell you. It's raining a bunch down here in Alabama right now, so my hair is just like going all kinds of which ways and everything today. But this video is going to be about the ancient Hebrew letters. Okay, and Mr. Benner, Jeff Benner, has done an excellent job of going through and deciphering what these letters say and mean and everything. There's a few of them that I might disagree with him just a little bit on and everything, but we'll go through those. But this is an important video because I'm going to go through every one of the letters and explain to them, explain to you what they mean and everything, because that's going to be important for another video that I'm doing on Genesis 1:1. And everybody knows what Genesis 1:1 is. In the beginning, God created, the heaven and the earth. Okay, so you need to definitely watch this whole video before you watch the Genesis 1:1 video. Okay, now let's get our perspective. Okay, remember, language is, it's all about perspective. Okay, so let's think about the ancient Hebrews, what it was before the flood, as opposed to what it was after the flood. Okay, so before the flood, before the flood, I don't know about you. I think it might have been pretty, pretty cush. Like say, all the land, the terra firma of the earth was flat. You didn't have to walk up any hills. You didn't have any steps to walk up or anything. Everybody lived a long time, and I believe that was from this canopy of ice and or water that was surrounding the earth at that time. But we'll get into that like in the Noah's flood video, everything, when I finish that. But yeah, I think it was pretty cool. It was probably like a ancient Mayberry, maybe, or something like that, where well, maybe an ancient Mayberry with a few witchcraft, hey, I want to play God neighborhoods around, maybe something like that. Because there was some evil. There was definitely evil back then, and demonic stuff and everything. That's why God kept getting so mad at him, everything. But yeah, for the most part, everybody pretty much got along. And just like on Mayberry, if there was a fuss or anything, well, hey, everybody came back together, at the end of the episode, and the next episode, everything was all good until it wasn't. So yeah, that's pretty much the way I kind of think of it, like before the flood. And you got to think, they really didn't need any kind of writing, I don't think. Now, the first, because everybody lived so long, if you wanted to go know something about something, heck, you just go and live with somebody for 100, 200, 300 years, and they would teach you every single nuance about it. Basically, they would communicate verbally to you, exactly, what happened, how it happened, So there was really not a real big need to write things down. The first or the oldest thing I found about somebody writing something down was Canaan, Enosh's son, when he said that he was writing down on a stone tablet everything that happened, to them. Excuse me. Everything that happened to them. The first time the object or planet 7X, planet X never came around. That's the oldest one. And then of course Enoch, a couple of hundred years later, he wrote things down, or had the angels write things down, and he actually taught men, about the earth and the stars and stuff for a while. But other than that, that's really it, because like I say, everybody knew each other. Canaan was even alive for several hundred years, or a couple of hundred years, even after Noah was born. So they knew each other. So that's pre-flood. Okay. What about post-flood, after the flood? Okay. Now, after the flood, a lot changed. Everything changed. Their whole world was not like it used to be. It was like a brand new world. Okay. Because, as opposed to everything being nice and, flat and everything was mountains everywhere, crushed water everywhere, vastly different from what it was before. Plus, in Genesis 6:3, what does God say? God says that he is not going to strive with man anymore. Okay. Because man's just doing all kinds of foolishness and everything. So what does he do? He basically puts a limit on the amount of years a man can live. Okay. And he capped that at about 120 years. That's what he says, 120 years. And of course, that relates back to that canopy that we'll be talking about, because all the radiation could come in after the canopy was gone. So, but like I said, we'll talk about that later. Right now, we're just focused on the writing and actually the letters this time. So yeah, they after the flood, they realized, hey, whoa, we're not going to be able to, go visit, great grandfather Canaan, for 100 years or 200 years anymore. None of our children's going to be able to do that. So we have got to figure out a way to communicate all of these things that have happened to us. Not necessarily mundane things, they're not gonna write a diary in stone, saying, hey, we went fishing on this day and, whatever. They're gonna write, about the catastrophic, the wondrous things that have happened to them and that they have seen with their own eyes. That's what they're gonna write about. They're not gonna waste their time on, just regular stuff, because, that stuff will be going on all through time. So how would they communicate through time something that everyone needs to know? How would they communicate that through time so that anybody would be able to figure it out and understand it if they dug deep enough? Well, that is the purpose of this video, because we're going to look at each one of the letters, ancient Hebrew letters, and just kind of figure that out, see if we can tease anything out of that. Okay. Now they were, you got to remember, they were extremely close to the land always. Everything they did was outside. Okay. Outside. They didn't have any TV or anything. So the stars, the sky, at that time, that's what they studied. Okay. So they knew the stars, they knew the land, they knew animals, they everything, because they've lived it for hundreds and hundreds of years. Okay. So let's go through each one of the letters. And like I say, see if we can tease something out. Now I've got to tell you one thing. Uh, I was fortunate enough to have a wonderful, wonderful mom and dad that took me places, and we did stuff, and we camped, and they would just let me just basically run wild out in the woods, and with all of our friends and stuff and everything, motorcycles and stuff, everything, scouts, camping and everything. So I know a pretty good bit about living outside myself, everything, because when you're 8, 9 years old, everything, and you want to go on an expedition with your friends, there's only so many sandwiches you could take, and kids, they imaginations, they come up with all kinds of stuff and everything. So yeah, I know about that. And the place where I grew up, there was a lot of Indians and stuff. So that kind of worked into the mix as well, because there was a lot of Indian heritage, where I grew up. So, but let's get into these letters, okay? Because some of them are extremely interesting. Okay. Now I'm going to clear out this. First, I'm going to get a drink. Okay. So let me see if I can figure out how to get this blur thing off, and then we'll just go ahead and start doing this. Okay, there it goes. See if we can get all of it in there. Okay, there we go. Okay, and yeah, this rain and stuff just it just really makes my hair like just go all cattywampus and stuff. So hope y'all don't mind. Okay, but anyway, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and get started with this. Okay. So now the first letter, and I'm just going to use pretty much the modern names here of the letters. Okay. Mr. Benner has the other names, what they call them in the ancient letters. Has those names in his book. Be sure and get his book. He's got a great book, and I've got to give Mr. Benner a lot of thanks. Thank you so much for letting me use the excerpts out of your book. It's very, very much appreciated. Thank you so much, sir. So let's do this. Okay. So first letter, Aleph. Okay. Aleph. That's the ox. Okay. Strong, powerful ox, ram, authority, also strong authority, chief leader, father. Okay. Now the ox was the strongest animal that these people had. Okay. And when they had to start tilling the soil, I'm sure they figured out real quick, hey, we can't be just digging around in this dirt, in our hands, with our hands and get anywhere. We can't even do it with a hoe or a shovel or anything like that. We need something big to bust up this ground so we can eat. Okay. So I think this may also mean, it could also mean like maybe nourisher or protector, maybe, because these animals, without these animals, breaking up the land and everything for their crops, they would die. So I think, and it may also mean God too. So we could put that up there: nourish, protect, protector, a God maybe. Okay. Because who nourishes us, who protects us all the time? God. God does. It says that, every one of our breaths is by his will, given to us by his will. So maybe that's it. Now, one interesting thing that that Mr. Bender says is that all these other letters have two sound name. There's just two sounds, two vowels or two syllables in their name, except for this one. That one has three. So I actually tried to figure that out last night as I was putting my outline together and everything, and I think that it has something to do to tie into how an ox sounds. So I was sitting here listening to ox sounds for about 30 minutes. My dog was looking at me, oh, what the heck are you doing? So, but I couldn't, I couldn't discern anything. So, but I think that's probably what it has to do with, though. So if maybe one of y'all have ox or cows or something, you might want to listen close. So let's go to the next letter. Okay. Bet. Okay. Now in modern Hebrew, of course, this means house. Okay. And Mr. Bender says that this is like a tent. He describes it as a tent with like a tent wall, separating the men from the women here. So we have house or tent. And he said that there's also some other forms of this right here. This one is like a closed box. This one, and these are my definitions right here for these. Okay, he didn't have a definition for those. Okay, so these are mine. This one right here I said was enclosure. This one right here was an empty jug. An empty jug. This one right here, I said this was like a jug tumped over. They tumped, that might be like an Alabama colloquialism, but that's what we call it. Hey, tump that bucket over. Yeah, you're washing your car, there's a big bucket of soap or something. Hey, tump that over and rinse it out. Some people in Alabama say rinse it out, but anyway, yeah, a jug tumped over. So he has this as house or tent. Now I maybe added a little bit to his definition of this, because I see this as something coming down into the tent, maybe. Okay, so or coming into. So I put enter a shelter, stay in your home. Now remember our perspective. Okay, remember our perspective on all of this. Our perspective is that these people were communicating something absolutely enormous and astronomical that had happened to them. Okay. That's the whole premise for this, is that they started writing to tell generations in the future what had happened to them, because they knew how significant it was. And I think that they understood from what Canaan had written before, prophesying Noah's flood, that, hey, this thing is going to happen again. And it will. It will. We don't know when, but we definitely know it will. Okay. So that's our premise. Our premise is, this writing was developed to communicate that into the future, so that all of these letters described something they did, something they saw, or something they had to do in relationship to that event of Noah's flood. Okay. So now then, let's get back to him. So that's why I said, enter your home. Stay in your home. Now, if you look at it this way, like it's a side view of a tent, you could say tent roof collapsed. Okay. Tent roof collapsed. Broken enclosure. Remember, I said that one was the enclosure. So we have broken enclosure. Water coming in or down. When you have your door open and it's raining, what's naturally going to happen? Water is going to come in. If your tent roof collapsed, and this happened to me. This happened to me at the beach too. When we were camping on the beach and there was a hurricane, and the tent just and yeah, sure enough, we just got soaked. So maybe that's happened to y'all. And then I put right here, canopy broken, because remember, before the flood, they had the big canopy. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next one. Gimel. Whoops, can't see that one. Gimel. Gimel. Looks like a leg and a foot. Okay. Now, Mr. Benner has this as walk, carry, gather. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. Walk, carry, gather. Yeah. Going from our perspective, what I added to this was run on foot on solid or dry ground. Okay. When you're on solid ground, yeah, you can stand, boom, you can just stand straight up. If there's water or something like that, you're going to sink down in the mud and everything. But so that's why I said foot on solid or dry ground. Also related to that, maybe land. Able to stand. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Dalit. Okay. Now then, this is actually pretty fascinating. So I had to think about this for a while. But Mr. Benner has it as door or back and forth. You know how a door swings back and forth. Also, if you're looking at it from side perspective, maybe to dangle, something dangling down. And he also has it as weak or poor. Somebody weak and poor, has always got their head hung and stuff like that. I looked at it from a little bit different angle. I said, hey, well, maybe since there was all this water and stuff now, maybe that was a canoe or a boat. Like you remember like Hawaii 5-0, when they'd be rowing and stuff, and there was a big long canoe, And then it had those things out on the side to stabilize it. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw that. So I said canoe, boat, to stabilize, to balance. They were able to balance. Yeah. He said that this right here could also be a derivation of that letter. So a fish, the way I would draw a fish, if I was drawing a fish, I'd draw come like this, maybe do like that, and then have one here, maybe. Okay, something like that. But I'm not totally sure about that one. But now I have seen pictures of like medieval carvings, medieval paintings, even stone carvings with this same figure in it. So I was thinking, well, okay, maybe this was one of the objects that they saw as it was moving away from the sun. Because remember, if the sun's over here and it's moving away from it, then that solar wind stuff is going to be pushing everything that way. Okay, so what this would be, what Joel would have described as the chariot. You remember Joel described it as coming toward the sun as a shepherd, because you have the shepherd and then the flock, and then after it turns the sun, then it turns around and it becomes a chariot with horses and stuff. So maybe something like that. But yeah, that's that one. Now this one, of course, is right in the glare. I'm going to put up a just a picture of this where you can actually see all of everything very clearly. So but anyway, this is hay, and this is one of my favorite ones right here. It's one of my favorite ones. So this is the guy standing up with his hands raised, looking at a great, wondrous sight in the sky or on the land or whatever. That's one of my favorite ones right there. I love that one. So yeah, breathe, sigh, looking at a great sight. Behold, reveal. I just added, we witnessed, it was seen, experienced, we experienced. Yeah, that's an awesome one right there. I really like that one. Okay, let's move to Vav. Okay, Vav. Now this one right here, I kind of disagree with Mr. Bender a little bit about. Okay, like I say, I've done a lot of camping before, like when I was younger and everything. Now he's saying that this is a tent peg. And I was like, well, I don't know. All the tent pegs that I've ever seen kind of looked like something like this and had like a little thing like that. Okay, because you got to remember your rope to your tent's going to come here, so you need something to hold it down. Okay, but he was saying that you put your rope around here, and then these two things right here keep your rope from slipping off. I don't know about that, but and plus, how are you going to beat that thing in the ground? I mean, it's easy to beat that one in the ground. Bam, bam, bam. But the ground would have to be dadgum soft, because you'd have to push that thing in the ground. Yeah. So I'm a little iffy on that. But anyway, he says securing something, to add or secure. Okay. He says that these are also, let me erase this right here. He says that these are also forms of Vav. Okay. We got a circle coming down. We got this little thingy right here. Okay. Now, like I say, there's a lot of Indian heritage stuff and everything around where I grew up, And heck, my scout leader was a full-blooded Cherokee. Okay, he taught us a lot of stuff. So the first thing I saw when I saw this, excuse me, was I saw something like maybe a needle or a dart. That's why I put as me adding to this definition: sow, needle, dart, pierce, prick, hole, puncture. Maybe, thinking about our perspective, sharp objects falling from the sky. Okay. The reason I say that is, and I just went out in the yard just a minute ago and made this. If you look at this, can you see this? What I made? See that? That looks exactly like that. Okay. Now, the reason I put this rubber band on this, they wouldn't have had a rubber band, of course. They probably would have used leather or something like that. But the reason I did that is because this is how you would use this. You would slip your finger in through here so that it would stay on your finger. Okay, like that. And you would use this to puncture. You'd use this to puncture stuff. Okay. To sew. You just hold it like that, puncture stuff. Okay. That's the first thing I thought of. Because my dad actually found a piece of bone, when I was way, way younger, just like that. And he told me that's what it was for. Now then, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense because look, this is another derivative of this letter, according to Mr. Benner. Same thing, only except it would have been a ring. They would have just had a ring and then something sharp. And this right here looks like a modern pen, even, looks like a modern pen. So this one right here is explained by this as well. Because if you, just grab this here. Okay, I'm just taking this piece of cloth here. Okay. If you take a piece of cloth or a piece of hide or anything like that, what are you going to have to do? What are you going to have to do to pierce that? You're going to have to stick this up and it's going to bend. And then you're going to punch it through. See? So you're going to take it, it's going to bend, and then you're going to punch it through. That's where the little bend comes through. You see? So that's why I said that. And then I thought, well, okay, maybe it's maybe it could be a seedling. So maybe it would mean renew or life or anything like that, because it does look like a little seedling. But then these other two, that right there really wouldn't explain these other two really, as well as the needle. Okay, so we got several others to go through. I'm gonna take a short break and I'm gonna come back with the next set of letters. So hang on.